Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. The relatives had secretly tried to solve that riddle despite saying on the surface that the whole idea was silly. However, up until today, no one had solved it. We were once again being urged to solve that unintelligible riddle, and this time we were faced with the threat that we'd all be killed if we didn't solve it. If that wasn't a game, let the game begin. What else could it be? The bold opinion that we should search the premises for the culprit did come up once. However, there was a good chance they were armed, and there might not just be one of them. And while they might have been able to kill more than 6 people, they had stopped at 6. The opinion that won out in the end was that we should avoid needlessly antagonizing the culprit and hole up in a safe place while we waited for the police to arrive. After the adults carefully checked the doors and windows in the guest house were locked, they set up camp in the lobby. As they loaded their guns to distract themselves from the tension, their expressions showed they were already fatigued from this long day, which had still barely begun. There was nothing for me to do. Now all I could do was be taught how to use a gun, to prepare for the off chance of something happening that led to an excess of guns. That's fine. Just obediently stay there, me, and the rest of you. 6 people in the beginning again, and this time it's grandfather and all of the servants put together. Most likely that child has carefully studied your moves from the last game and has made an optimal move by taking the pieces you are most likely to suspect from the start. That makes sense. That was true both last time and the time before that. The servants who knew everything about the mansion and who walk around with keys always fall into the most suspicious category of people. A good example in the last game would be Jessica's closed room. If I'd only accepted that a servant was the culprit, that wouldn't even have been a closed room, and so that child went straight for them, probably to block off a method of escape you'd be likely to attempt sooner or later. Beta already proclaimed in red there are no more than 18 people on this island. In other words, it's time to give up on that. Now I've got to suspect one of the 18. That child will probably come at you by stealing the pieces for all the 18 while also making an appearance as a 19th person who shouldn't exist, for then you would be forced to accept that your opponent is a witch. After all, now that the intimidation approach has failed, trying to force you to surrender by showing you magic, the only remaining option is a frontal attack. Perfect. Bluffing won't work anymore. Be careful. Deception is what witches are best at. No matter your opponent says or shows you, no matter what your opponent says or shows you, it will not be able to threaten the truth that you believe in. Don't forget that. Sure, as if I'd fall for the same moves over and over. Come on out, Beatrice, let's get started. I am already seated at the table of the contest, and my turn is already complete. To think we would end up having Madame as our foe. This will not be easy, my lady. Our moves will be read thoroughly. I care not. By now teachers' moves are all old-fashioned classics. There is nothing to fear. So just what moves can you make beyond the classics I taught you? I look forward to seeing. Lunar, push a button too soon. Beatrice. I missed one word. You okay with this, Battler? Can someone who denies which is really acceptable, which is a strategist? Your stupid provocation is pointless. This is my advisor, no my second. That doesn't change one bit. That this is a fist fight between you and me. I understand one as wobbly as yourself probably needs training wheels on his bicycle. Do as you like. Come, let us begin. I mean, if I actually were to ride a bicycle, I probably would need training wheels to have a terrible sense of balance. It's your turn. Let's begin with the reconstruction of the crime scene. Virgilia, quickly, please. The first corpse discovered was Shannon's. She was found in the parlor on the first floor of the mansion. The doors and windows were locked and a closed room was established. Beato, I need some details. Let's reconfirm the definition of a closed room. Indeed, the term closed room refers to a room where the room inside and the outside are completely cut off from each other. Naturally, it will be impossible to even affect things across that boundary line, much less enter or escape across it. This includes an all-inclusive denial of the existence of hidden doors, as well as all possibility of intervention from the outside. Henceforth, this shall be referred to as Beatrice's closed room definition. Let's focus in a bit. How do you define all possibility of intervention from the outside? I refer to all types of direct intervention from the outside, such as using a fishing line or a long, thin rod. In conclusion, there are no gaps in the doors and windows throughout which such tricks will work. I wonder about that. Even if there wasn't a gap, you should be able to interfere with radio waves like the remote control, right? Very well. I'll add this definition to interference due to radio waves and related methods of remote control shall be impossible. I mean, it's the 80s, right? There is also an extension telephone in the parlor. A device catch that wouldn't count as a remote control, right? The phones are already unusable, are they not? Whatever. I'll include that too. All direct and indirect methods of interfering at the inside of the closed room from the outside of the room are impossible. What about a voice or a knock? Those should be able to interfere with from the outside without someone entering the room, right? Even though it's a closed room, it probably isn't impossible for someone to knock or call out. The closed room definition does not cover whether transmission of intent across the boundary is possible or not. In other words, you can't make it so your definition includes the blockage of all methods of communication with the outside. That is indeed the case. Understood. So Shanchan's parlor satisfies Beatrice's closed room definition, right? Correct. Closed room definition understood. Continue, Virginia. Yes. Yes, Shannon's corpse was in possession of one master key. The relatives who discovered her collected this. Beato repeated how many master keys this time. I'm out of breath.